Welcome, and thanks for joining me. I'm Mark Whitbin. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of American Broadband and Telecommunications Company. I've been involved in Lifeline for more than a decade. I trust that you won't mind spending a bit of time with me today to go through some key concepts and constructs designed to ensure that we all have a shared understanding and sense of purpose in ensuring that AMBT's participation in Lifeline and each of us in our individual role of supporting AMBT is in full compliance with the Federal Communications Commission's Lifeline rules. Today's training is meant to supplement any other training you receive to ensure that your role as ensuring compliance success is appreciated and understood. Note that the title slide says that this training is for covered personnel. If you are here, you're covered. You're covered if you work for AMBT or any of our distribution partners as an employee or as a contractor and have anything to do with your company's participation in the Lifeline program. It takes all of us working together to get it right and to be sure that we can be proud of the way AMBT and all of you work hard to ensure that those who are eligible for and who need support to get and stay connected to voice, text, and broadband get their Lifeline benefits. Here's a general overview of what today's training will cover. Today we'll cover general references, an introduction to the USAC database ecosystem, Lifeline rules, household worksheets and duplicate removal, benefit transfer rules, subscriber termination and de-enrollment, third-party oversight, eligibility compliance, reporting non-compliance. Before we dive in, I want to provide a quick overview of the references I used in putting together today's presentation. These include the FCC's, the Federal Communication Commission, Lifeline Rules and Orders, AMBT's Compliance Manual, and Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs, as well as guidance from the Universal Service Administrative Company, known as USAC. The Lifeline program has been around since the 1980s. It is the FCC's Universal Service Program designed to ensure affordable access to essential communications for all Americans. Eligibility for Lifeline. Applicants are eligible based upon income or participation in certain government programs. If an applicant income is at or below 135% of the federal poverty guidelines, they qualify. If an applicant participates in at least one of the following government programs, they will qualify. Medicaid, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Supplemental Security Income, Federal Public Housing Assistance, Veterans and Survivors Pension Benefits. Applicants living on qualifying tribal lands can get Lifeline if their household income is at or below 135% of the federal poverty guidelines, or if they participate in any of the federal assistance programs I just mentioned for Lifeline, the Bureau of Indian Affairs General Assistance, tribally administered temporary assistance for needy families, Tribal Head Start, or food distribution program on Indian reservations. The monthly discount is up to $9.25. For tribal lands, monthly discount of up to $34.25 is available, which represents an enhanced benefit of $25 in addition to the standard $9.25 subsidy. More on this in a minute or two. One per household restriction. I'll address this in more detail a few slides down, but in a nutshell, the FCC rules limit Lifeline to only one benefit per household. Let's talk about termination de-enrollment. Lifeline subscribers can have their service terminated and de-enrolled if the subscriber requests to be de-enrolled. These must be completed within 2 business days after receipt. For non-use, that is, the subscriber doesn't use their service within the last 30 days, the process is different. In this situation, per FCC rules, this triggers a 15-day notice period where AMBT provides notice to a non-using subscriber, and that subscriber gets 15 days to use their service. After those 15 days, we must de-enroll them within 5 business days if no usage is recorded. If AMBT has a reasonable basis to believe that a subscriber is no longer eligible for Lifeline, it must notify the subscriber of an impending termination and allow the subscriber 30 days from the notice to present proof of continued eligibility. If the subscriber fails to demonstrate eligibility by the end of the 30-day period, we must de-enroll them within 5 business days. If USAC or a TPA advises AMBT that a subscriber is receiving Lifeline service from another provider, or that more than one member of the subscriber's household is receiving Lifeline service, we must de-enroll them within 5 business days. If a subscriber doesn't respond to the annual recertification request, USAC will de-enroll them. The annual recertification of eligibility requirement is administered by USAC and the TPA. De-enrollment of a subscriber requires de-enrollment from NLAD and from any subscriber lists maintained by AMBT. About benefits. Although I covered this in the prior slide, I want to have you see the benefit information for each program, and then I'll emphasize a few key points. What benefits do subscribers get under Lifeline? They receive a monthly discount of up to $9.25. The discount may apply to qualifying fixed or mobile services and can be applied to voice, broadband, or bundled services that meet minimum service standard requirements, which we won't get into here. For qualifying subscribers on tribal lands, it's a monthly discount of up to $34.25. Let's also talk about the Lifeline discount on the slide. It's important to add that additional funds, aside from federal Lifeline funds, may be available. Now, training wouldn't be training without a pop quiz, or 3. Here's the first one of 3. Read each question, and below are the answers. Question 1, the answer is false. School lunch program enrollment cannot be used as a program-based eligibility for Lifeline. Question 2, the answer is true. Lifeline income eligibility is at or below 135% of the federal poverty level. Question 3, true. Remember, you can have multiple individual qualifying households at a single address, but use common sense and conduct checks to verify. If it looks like we have people at the same address, but the household is a small apartment, you're likely looking at the same household. For homeless shelters, for example, we look at a percentage of the housing capacity at that shelter. Because we know that this is an area where fraud can occur, we use control so that too many applicants from the same address can't apply. Now, it's time to drill down deeper into a few areas of compliance, starting with eligibility. Remember, eligibility can be income-based and program-based. We don't determine eligibility for Lifeline in any state, including California, but we have an important role to play in making sure that only accurate and legitimate information gets submitted. Garbage in often means garbage out, as in erroneous eligibility verification. If we, and that means all of us, including our enrollment representatives, continue in any way to bad information going into the National Verifier, NLAD, or TPA, we will be held accountable for it. So what's involved in eligibility compliance? The process starts with eligibility verification. Applicants can start by going directly to the NV or by getting there or to the TPA with the help of a service provider like AMBT. The National Verifier and NLAD, or TPA, will use the applicant's information to perform the following checks. Eligibility check, identity check, address check, duplicate subscriber check, duplicate address check, tribal eligibility check, only in a state where tribal benefits are available and authorized, identity verification, and deceased applicant check. If any of these checks return errors, the applicant will be directed to resolve the error, typically by providing additional documentation. After an applicant is found to be eligible for Lifeline using the National Verifier, the applicant must be enrolled using the National Lifeline Accountability Database, or NLAD. For California Lifeline, enrollment happens without using the NLAD, though the NLAD is later populated to facilitate the service provider reimbursement claims process. So, what can go wrong? The National Verifier and TPA have limited database access. They do not have the ability to electronically verify income or program-based eligibility for some programs. When an applicant cannot be verified electronically, submission of documentation to prove eligibility is required. We can help by screening out bad documentation and by facilitating applicants' identification of good documentation. We can also help by using common sense. For example, we will not assist with the submission of documentation that looks altered in any way or that seems to be wrong, such as SNAP participation or an award letter that looks different from the standard issued in a particular state. The National Verifier and TPA may have problems verifying the person's identity or address. We use our own systems to screen information we get from applicants before it goes to the verifier. For example, we use a database to screen out non-residential addresses. We use another database to screen out dead people. Unfortunately, we need to be on guard for such things. The next area we're going to cover is duplicates, duplicate household worksheets, and duplicate removal in particular. The rule is one per household. That is one Lifeline benefit allowed per independent economic household. A household is defined as a group of people who live together and share money, even if they're not related to each other. The household worksheet is used to screen what we call address duplicates. You can't have applicants from the same household, but you can have applicants from different households who reside at the same address. Address duplicates or having multiple households at a single address is allowed. This happens at places where multiple individuals live at a communal address, such as homeless shelters. We and other Lifeline providers rely upon the National Verifier, NLAD, and TPA to screen for duplicates, but it is important that we at Ambt conduct duplicate screenings as well. Waste, fraud, and abuse are best combated with multiple layers of review. At Ambt, we scrub for duplicates at the point of enrollment with the CGM enrollment platform, and we do it again at the beginning of each month when we are preparing to make reimbursement claims for discounted service provided during the prior month. Our goal is to have 0 household duplicates within our company. If you see something that doesn't look right, please say something. More on how you go about that later in this training. The next area we're going to cover is the benefit transfer rules. This is important because benefit transfers can generate subscriber confusion and complaints. Because we don't like subscriber confusion or complaints, we aim to avoid both. The rules governing benefit transfers in Lifeline. Subscribers can transfer benefits from one provider to another. A subscriber can transfer the benefit to the provider of their choice, assuming that provider is qualified as a Lifeline provider, but that provider has to make the proper disclosures and collect consent. One frequent complaint the FCC hears is where subscribers get transferred to another provider, allegedly without their consent. In those cases, the subscriber says they didn't authorize the transfer and wants to remain with Ambt, for example. Remember, you can't have multiple providers claiming the same subscriber for reimbursement. Benefit transfers are facilitated in the NV-NLAD. Once completed, the provider from which the benefit was transferred no longer can claim reimbursement for the discounted service provided, and as a result, typically will disconnect the subscriber and wipe remaining service allocations. Ambt does not initiate any benefit transfer without making the required disclosures and receiving the proper consent. Time for the next pop quiz. Take a look at all 3 questions. Below are the answers to them. Question 1, the answer is false. Eligibility for Lifeline is determined by the third-party administrator in California and by USAC's National Verifier in all other states in which Ambt is a Lifeline service provider. Question 2, the answer is false. Household duplicates are not allowed in Lifeline. However, Lifeline does allow address duplicates when a household worksheet is completed. Question 3, the answer is false. The subscriber can make more than one benefit transfer per month. Now, on to our final segment. Next up is subscriber termination and de-enrollment. Subscriber terminations occur in a few ways. First, when they tell us they aren't eligible. Subscribers have an ongoing duty to inform us if they become ineligible, or they can just decide that they don't want Lifeline anymore. If this is the case, after receiving the request, we have 2 business days to terminate their service. Second, when USAC or a TPA advises Ambt that a Lifeline subscriber is receiving Lifeline service from another provider, or that more than one member of the subscriber's household is receiving Lifeline service, we must de-enroll them within 5 business days. Third, we must terminate when we notice or have reason to believe they aren't eligible. For example, we notice they haven't used their service in 30 days and then continue not to use their service during the 15-day cure period. Non-use has a specific definition. Since we do not assess and collect a monthly fee, the subscriber must use the Lifeline-supported device at least once every 30 days. Usage is defined as the subscriber making an outgoing call or using data, sending a text message. Received text messages are not considered usage. Buying minutes or data to add to the subscriber service plan. Answering an incoming call. Calls from the subscriber's service provider or the service provider's agent or representative do not count. Responding to direct contact from the subscriber's Lifeline service provider to confirm the subscriber wants to continue receiving Lifeline service. Once we determine non-use, we provide a notice of termination and 15 days to cure or use service. If we suspect that a subscriber is ineligible for another reason, for example, we notice that their information appears to be too similar to that of another subscriber, thus suggesting the presence of a household duplicate, we will provide the subscriber with 30 days to address our concerns. If the subscriber fails to do so, we de-enroll them within 5 business days. Fourth, subscribers are de-enrolled if they fail to recertify. Subscribers have to recertify once a year if they are eligible for Lifeline. USAC administers recertification, and in California, the TPA handles it. We can assist by providing reminders to our subscribers that they need to recertify. Subscribers who fail to recertify are de-enrolled by USAC or the TPA. The FCC requires us to train and have tight control over our vendor partners in Lifeline. This includes people who work at companies providing us with software and solutions to help manage our business and compliance. It also includes everyone in the distribution channel, including and perhaps especially those of you who do the very important work of interfacing with applicants and our subscribers, making sure they understand who is eligible and who is not. We take this responsibility seriously at Ambt. We have developed a plan that includes this training, updates to all contracts, compliance certificates, and audits, all with a shared purpose of getting it right. We all benefit when we achieve full compliance. I'll now expand upon each of the elements included in the slide. Training. We're almost done today, but we'll need to collect a certificate from each of you indicating that you have attended and understood the content. All new additions will receive training within 30 days of hire and before any enrollment activity. We intend to require refresher training every 6 months or as needed. Furthermore, everyone will receive training annually. Contracts. If you or your company has a contract with us, we have created a federal regulatory compliance addendum which must be executed. These addenda are required by the FCC. Each of our distribution partners must sign a certificate of compliance with the Lifeline rules. These certificates are required by the FCC. There are a few points I want to emphasize here. First, RAD IDs are required for all distribution personnel involved, indirectly or directly, in submitting information to the National Verifier. No sharing of RAD IDs is permitted. Second point is about agent compensation. FCC rules allow our enrollment representatives and their supervisor to be paid for their work, but such payments cannot be made based upon the number of Lifeline enrollments or applications or on revenues received. Audits. We conduct monthly audits of our enrollments. We are required to report our findings to the FCC. We hope that you are committed, as we are, to getting it right every time. That's a good segue to our final pop quiz. Read the above 3 questions, and now let's work through the answers. Question 1, false. You must complete a training certificate to finish this round of training. Since training is an ongoing process, we'll be back in touch for a refresher within 6 months. Everyone will be trained annually. Question 2, true. Remember to remind subscribers that they must do one of the following at least once in any 30-day period. Make an outgoing call or use cellular data. Send a text message. Buy minutes or data to add to the subscriber service plan. Answer an incoming call. Again, calls from the subscriber's service provider or the service provider's agent or representative do not count. Respond to direct contact from AMBT to confirm the subscriber wants to continue receiving Lifeline service. Question 3, false. Enrollment representatives and their direct supervisors cannot be paid commissions based upon enrollments, applications, or subsidy revenue. We're not quite done yet. One more topic, and it's really important. As a trusted service provider participating in the Lifeline program, AMBT is required to monitor for non-compliance and to report any non-compliance to the FCC monthly. We need your help. If you see something that doesn't seem or look right, say something. You can do this on an anonymous basis through our compliance hotline, or you can call or email me directly. Either way, please know that we have a no retaliation policy in place for all reporting done in good faith. I hate to close on a somber note, but I would be remiss if I didn't remind you about what is at stake here. Lifeline is an important federal program that must be safeguarded from waste, fraud, and abuse. If you violate the Lifeline rules, you may face civil and criminal penalties, in addition to termination of your relationship with AMBT. We like you, so please stay with us by staying compliant. Here is our compliance hotline information, along with the FCC and USAC whistleblower hotlines. Please make use of them as you find necessary. Thank you. That's it. We finished today's training. Thank you for participating. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me directly. You can always ask your supervisor. Thank you for all you do every day to make Lifeline and your company and AMBT's role in these programs successful. We're all better off when we're all connected.